You're listening to the Perth Property Show, Australia's only weekly property podcast by West Australian experts for West Australian listeners. Catch your latest episode every Monday at 7 a.m.
Rise and shine, Perth. Welcome to the Perth Property Show, another round on a Monday morning. I'm Trent Fleskins, your host as always. Now, today we're talking home security, and we've got one expert to talk to regards to that. It's Andrew Vaughan from Intelligent Home. Andrew, thank you very much for coming in again.
Thanks for having me, Trent.
Now, security is one of those things where I think it's how long's a piece of string, right? You can have a simple alarm or you can go nutso Hollywood style on this.
You certainly can. Yeah, everyone's got different requirements.
When we're talking about a simple alarm, it's still come a long way since the alarms 15, 20 years ago. I guess just like air conditioning units as well. You can have zones and the pad at the front.
Yep, co-pad. Yep, keypad.
Keypad at the front is much more than just the buttons these days. Tell us about just that general security space in terms of alarms, where they're at these days, what they're offering compared to the past.
So alarms, in the same sense, they still have your internal motion sensors like the traditional systems. They'll still have your siren inside and out and your co-pad for arming and disarming. Where it has grown is the integration side of how you can have app control over an alarm now, which basically you will get a notification if your alarm has been triggered, rather than coming home to seeing a flashing light and going,
your neighbour was pissed off.
Yeah, because everyone just will assume it's a false alarm and ignore sort of sirens flashing, and you could have a security company monitor your system.
That's pay them to come out.
That's correct. You can still do that if you want to, but with app control now, you could have a choice just not to do that and self-monitor.
A lot of the time, obviously, you've got the camera now where you can see the notifications come up, and this is a video that is related to that, so you can see whether there is a problem or it was just the wind.
Correct. Yeah, and there's actually even image sensors you can tie in with the alarm system that could be in the home and take a snapshot of when the alarm gets triggered. So you've actually got footage of that person potentially in the house or trying to get in.
What sort of price are we paying these days for a fully integrated alarm where I can be at work right now? If we're recording this podcast and watching my phone with the app video going live at the moment.
Well,
what's that company? What's that technology? Where are we getting it from?
Sure. Well, there's a few parts to that, because what you're sort of talking about is more of camera footage, CCTV.
Yep.
If you're wanting to watch live footage, you'd have a sort of camera system, which could be integrated with an alarm system or could be completely separate.
Okay, so that's a plus on
correct.
top of the usual siren.
That's right. So you'd start with a basic alarm, which will protect the inside of the home, with motion sensors. And then you'd go, okay, well, do we want to protect any of the windows or doors around the home? Extra sort of layer of protection, trying to sound the alarm before that intruder has a chance to be in the home.
Yep.
Because once they're in the home, they're going to try and get what they can.
Quickly. And most people aren't paying attention to alarms these days anyway.
That's right. Yep. And then you could even have external motion sensors, which is a sort of a third layer, which is, stopping someone from even getting to that window or door in the first place. Though placement of those sort of sensors is key.
They're called German Shepherds, aren't they?
Yeah. If they work.
More expensive to maintain.
I had an intruder get past two of my dogs, so.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So, they don't always work.
Yep. Cost. Let's talk cost. Let's
yep.
talk about these apps. Let's talk about really how long it takes to set up, what companies. Obviously, I'm guessing Intelligent Home can offer these services.
Yes, definitely. So we have a DSC alarm system. A standard on a single-story home would be, say, $1,000 for a base alarm, but that wouldn't be with app control. A couple parts with the app control, we'd need an internet cable to where the alarm panel is, and then we would need to supply the app board that internet cable plugs into.
There we go straight away. If we're having to retrofit these things, this could cost quite a bit.
You could be talking a few $100s to run, retrofitting, definitely. Yeah,
conduit up the wall, across the roof, and then back down the wall to the wireless router area, right?
It becomes, the ability to be able to run that internet cable. So, which comes back to the single story, 2-story, can that cable be run? There are other technologies now which don't rely on having a data cable plugged in.
Can't they? Surely you can find some of these that are wirelessly connected as a hub.
So you can get 3-4G connector modules that will tie in with like the alarm systems that we sell. There would be other smart sort of security systems and things on the market, like do-it-yourself sort of systems you could buy from the shop, but not something that's your traditional security system that's sort of designed and installed by someone that's licensed to do so.
So you obviously need a pretty good smartphone as well to run this the power of this app is, I guess?
Look, it's just a simple app. So any reasonable sort of smartphone would be able to load the app. It's not really that data heavy.
Okay.
Most of the integration with your standard alarms is about a notification, knowing what's going on, being able to open the app and seeing the state of your alarm. So if you've gone to work and you're like, well, do I arm that alarm or not? You can have a look and at a glance and know if it is.
What if we're adding that CCTV perspective to the alarm?
Yeah, so it could be completely separate. You might have one app to view cameras and one app for control of the alarm. The alarm app would also allow you to arm and disarm it from the app as well. And you can get products that can integrate both together.
Any names of these products out there that you recommend?
So if we were going to integrate both together and sort of work on maybe a 3-4G connected product, we deal with a product called alarm.com. And they are a product that can not only connect to a 3-4G network, but can be hardwired to the internet as well. The benefit with 3-4G connect is that module runs off the backup battery of the in the alarm panel. So if your home loses power, you still have app control.
Okay.
Whereas with standard app control, if your home loses power, well, your internet stops working, and then you don't have app control over it.
With these CCTV cameras that are integrated into the alarm systems these days, it used to be a case where you're trying to figure out who is that person. There's about 12 pixels on the screen. I'm never going to know who this is. Has it come a long way, especially with night vision, to being able to identify who these people are?
So, first part's actually getting cameras close to points of entry, near doors, so it gives you the best chance of actually seeing someone's face. Yes, cameras have increased in resolution. Like your standard cameras are now sort of sitting around 6 megapixel. 4 megapixel cameras are still very sharp.
Okay.
Cameras at night is a bit of a different kettle of fish because a higher megapixel rating will not mean a better picture at night because the cells, or you could say the pixels are too small to be able to pick up
All the light spectrum.
Yeah, correct. So
Okay.
You'll find a lot of the cameras that are good for nighttime viewing will be a lower megapixel, particularly if they're trying to capture color as well.
Would you integrate this in with a sensor light? Wouldn't that help?
No, so the cameras that I use, for example, use infrared. So at night time, I have a black and white view through the cameras, but I can see everything just as clear as though it's during day. Light turning on would push the camera back into a day sort of mode. You'd get color again, but it wouldn't necessarily mean you're going to see everything better than if it was just left in a night mode and watching in black and white.
How expensive can these systems get? If I was to come to you and say, Andrew, I've got a normal house in a normal suburb, and I would like to have a fully integrated alarm and CCTV system that I can see on my app right now and tell whether it's my wife or it's an intruder, and therefore have the ability to arm, disarm, call the cops from that. Would there be a round number, a ballpark figure as to what I should be setting aside from my savings to integrate this into a retrofitted home?
I'd break it down into a couple parts. So I'd say, well, the alarm system with app control, let's say if we're talking standard app control, you'd be talking, let's call it $1,600, for alarm, running an internet cable and having the module. If we were then talking about a standard camera system with a separate app, let's say 4 cameras would be pretty standard for a home, you might be looking at $1,900 as a sort of a typical solution in a single story house.
On top of the 1,600?
Correct, yep. So you'd have your alarm system and then your CCTV system. Integrating them, you can do it a couple ways. So if we're going down the 3-4G way, well, then we're talking cameras that are cloud recording, not locally recording.
Okay.
So we don't have the local recorder in the house.
Yeah, because you need storage, wouldn't you? You have your hard drives.
Yep. And you need to be able to access them as well. Mm-hmm. Now, with 3-4G connected products, you've also got a subscription because you're connected to a 3-4G network.
So it's a SIM card.
Correct, yeah. So, and that's sort of, a lot of them are dual SIM cards. So if one network fails, it can jump onto the other. But you'll be having potentially $35 a month as a sort of an ongoing cost to be able to then have access to your cameras and the alarm system over that network, as opposed to just a sort of one-off fee if you were just talking just sort of standard system that was relying on the internet in your home.
Okay, so we've talked about that simple security of people that we don't want in the home getting in the home, right?
Yeah.
But what about the, I guess there's a lot more that can be done in terms of sensors, older people, family, just keeping track of their grandparents and making sure everything is going right in the inside of the house especially.
Yeah.
You've been saying to me off air that there's some real push, some real advancement in that space of just keeping an eye on our family.
Yeah, the wellness space is becoming more and more critical. Everyone's it's an aging society. We all work a lot. Got parents that are older, starting to need potential care. And then the concern is that, are they going to be okay? Are they taking their medicine that they should be? Do they have Alzheimer's, or are they going on for a walk and are disappearing and not coming back? So, part of the alarm.com product that we sell is being able to put sensors on medicine cabinets, for example, and knowing or getting an alert at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, has that cabinet been opened or not, and when they should have had their medicine each day, or has the front door been left open for an extended period of time where it's not just about going out and collecting the mail, that they've gone on a walkabout.
Yeah,
so
they've just forgotten to close the door at night.
Correct, yeah. So you can start, you can even do pressure sensors on beds, so if they haven't got them out of bed for an entire day, okay, what's wrong?
Wow.
So it gives an ability to be able to, without having to go to the home, have an idea about, if they've got a daily routine, and most people do. Are they sticking to it? Is something out of place? And then you can put actions in place to just see what's going on.
That's got to be costly, surely.
Not necessarily. You'd have that 3-4G connected product. You'd have about a $20 a month ongoing subscription.
Yep.
Products can be installed wirelessly, so it can easily be retrofitted. You don't have to run the cables.
But what does a sensor cost? What does a door sensor or a bed pressure sensor to install these things?
Sensors could range anywhere from $150 to watch a door, and could be probably up and over $500 for something like a pressure sensor.
And they just running off a little battery?
They are battery operated, most of them, or could be hardwired if it could be retrofitted. It doesn't have to be super expensive. You still have your standard alarm, but it's more about what sensors. If it's protecting windows and doors, that can get expensive.
Okay. So Andrew, what would your advice be to people who just about to maybe look at building a home when it comes to providing for a range of these services? What would be a happy middle ground that we would be investing, I should say, a bit of cash up front that you may or may not be utilising at the start, but just makes life that much easier when it comes to making those decisions around security, CCTVs, and retirement, looking after family members in that space?
Yeah, so we will need to have a look at the size of the home. If it's a single-story home, we can put provisions in place like conduits, so we can, get cables to a keypad later, and maybe put that data point in, so we can look at the app control side of things later. In a 2-story home, a little bit different. That's where we'll sort of once again make sure we've got a couple data cables. We'd look at putting in a base alarm system. There might be a $1,900 spend there to have a base alarm that protects the inside of the house, and we'd look at upgrading the copad, which would have a radio frequency technology, so we can expand in the future and add window sensors and other smart sensors if required.
Yeah.
So it gives us a path to be able to protect the home as your needs change and as you grow with the home.
Makes sense. I think for the small investment in things like conduits, which really are about $100 per conduit, as I understand it, just to provide for that cavity.
Conduits to about half that, actually.
Really?
So,
they've come down. Even better. So
Yeah.
we got 2 for 1 right
there.
there.
Yep.
Just strategically placing them at least around the front of the home with the alarm system, TV points, and where your router point is going to be. We're not getting away from routers anytime soon, are we?
We're not. No.
Yeah, exactly right.
No.
Possibly in the kitchen as well.
So conduits we would look at on internal walls. The whole thing is that you don't want to have to cut walls to be able to get cables down later.
Replaster.
Correct, yeah. So we look at conduits on internal walls where there won't be a choice of getting cabling down later without a lot of mess. If there's cavity walls and it's single story, then there would be a path to get cables down later. So you don't need to go crazy with conduits. We just need to have a look at those internal walls and see, do we need to get cables down there one day? And put a conduit in, have a blank plate covering it, and at least have the choice of being able to run cables later. So that's sort of key.
Awesome. Yeah. Andrew, thanks very much for chatting security with us today.
You're welcome.
I think it's a part of building technology that's becoming more prevalent, especially as people get a bit nervous these days. Everyone wants to see what is going on around their house, but also just because there's much more that can be done. It's not just the old school alarm system. There's just so much more capability. And with the cost coming down, people's imaginations just keep running wild, really.
Oh, well and truly. Yeah, it just keeps changing and for the better, which is fantastic.
Thanks, man. Okay, Suburb Spotlight time. We're going way up north today. South of Joondalup, though, we are in Connolly, the golf course suburb. We've got one lady we can talk to about this beautiful, historic suburb. It's Julie Cross from Platinum. Julie, thank you very much for coming in and chatting about this family stronghold in the north.
Thank you.
Can you give us a bit of history, a little bit of what it means to live in Connolly and what that lifestyle is for you?
For those that don't know Connolly, it was established some 30 years ago. It's situated approximately 25 kilometres north of Perth. It's an absolutely beautiful suburb, very, very family friendly. Anyone that's had the pleasure of being brought up in Connolly, they generally tend to move away, buy their first homes in other suburbs. But do you know what? They always come back. It's that much of a beautiful suburb.
Where are they coming from? They coming out, going out to Wanneroo or up to Kinross, and then maybe it takes a while to afford to get back into Connolly. It's not a first home buyer's price point a lot of the time, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, it's definitely not in the first home buyer's price bracket. Generally, they go off and they might buy in other more affordable suburbs. But once they get on that property ladder, it enables them to come back into that suburb. So the median price in Connolly is round about $650,000. That's for a 4-bedroom home. Most of the homes are based on or around the golf course. So obviously a golf course suburb does...
It'd take up quite a bit of that suburb, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, fun fact, you were telling me beforehand, it was built on a quarry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
a limestone quarry?
Yeah, limestone quarry, established some 30 years ago.
Well, you see a bit of it around, don't you?
Yeah.
In just the architecture of the place and obviously a lot of the retaining, more limestone.
Yeah, and you've obviously got that world-class 27-hole golf course as well. So,
we should not forget the actual course itself. Bit of wildlife. Do we have any kangaroos up there?
Yeah,
We go to Marangaroo, those sort of areas. There's kangaroos there. You enjoying them up in
Oh,
Connolly?
look, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's such a pleasure to actually do home opens overlooking the golf course. You've got the kookaburras, you've got the kangaroos coming out at dawn and dusk. Yeah, it really, really is an absolute pleasure to work that suburb, definitely.
When I think about the price points of the suburbs directly north and south of Connolly is a spike in terms, it's a jump in price. Is it because the houses are just bigger and nicer and better?
Look, the block sizes are very, very good as well. Generally, they range from sort of 600 up to 900 square metres in Connolly. So, look, as I say, once again, it's one of the only tree-lined suburbs that's left. It's a very small suburb consisting only of about 1,400 homes. Yeah, and it's an absolute pleasure to drive through.
Is it set up for young families and schools? Do you have good primary schools in the area, or do you have to go outside the suburb?
No, definitely. It's got Connolly Primary School, which has got an absolutely wonderful reputation, and there's other primary schools close by as well.
High school? Are we going further towards the coast for a more private education?
Look, high schools for Connolly, public high schools consist of Ocean Reef High School and also Belridge. They're the main public schools facilitated by that suburb. And then obviously you can go along to Beaumaris, you've got Prenderville and Lake Joondalup Baptist College.
Yeah, okay. So there's a few options around.
Oh, absolutely.
There isn't really a Connolly shopping centre. They're going out to Lakeside, really, aren't they?
Yeah, Lakeside Shopping Centre. Look, there is a shopping centre in Connolly. We're hoping for another supermarket to go in there. There's one of the best Chineses in the area is there. But we are hoping for a supermarket to go in there.
It's a bit more of a revitalisation, like an IGA or an Aldi or...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, well, it seems like, one of those suburbs... I compare it to maybe a Mount Claremont sort of thing where, look, it's not exactly where people are going to have fun. It's where people are more going to have that quiet, leafy green lifestyle, and then they'll travel slightly out of the suburb to get what they need, whether it's shopping or education or entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got Currumbine just over the road as well. That's got a nice big Woolies and a shopping centre over there. So, look, you really are close to everything. Freeway access, you're only a few minutes from the beach, the shops. So it really is, location is everything.
It's not the sort of suburb that I've driven through many times. And I guess it's... well, I guess it's because, I say that in a positive way, you don't really have to drive through it, which means that we've quite a quiet and private estate, really.
Yeah, no, it is.
You drive around it to get places.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and Trent, you should have a drive through because it's just beautiful. As I say, it's tree lined. I mean, even in the morning, sometimes I'm putting out my home open signs, and the ducks are just chilling and walking across the road, and it really, it's lovely.
It's a peaceful place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about prices. Let's talk about dollars. What's the cheapest price I could pay to get in to Connolly?
I sold one in an over 55 unit that was around about 300,000.
Are there many of those available?
Oh, there's a few. They do come up, definitely. Definitely they do come up.
Are they the older type?
They're definitely the older. They're like the
80s?
Units.
Yeah.
Usually there's a development of around about 16 to 20 units. If you want to buy a 4-bedroom home, generally you can get into Connolly around about the Huntingdale Crescent, that sort of area. Got one there at the moment that's mid to high 500s. But generally for a 4-bedroom home in Connolly that doesn't need too much renovations, then you're getting around about 600 to 650.
So it's a fairly homogenous suburb where most of the houses are of similar quality,
Yes.
similar size block, and you're going to be paying in that 600s if you really want that Connolly lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you get any really ritzy mansions in Connolly
Oh.
as well, overlooking the golf course?
Yeah, 100%. So Pine Valley Pass is one of the most affluential streets in the whole of Connolly. Basically, you've got pretty much a panoramic view of the golf course. Also, Cypress Point Retreat. I sold one down there recently, and the views were just absolutely spectacular.
What are you paying for those?
Oh, look, in Pine Valley Pass, you can pay anything up to around about 1.8 to 2 million. They are spectacular Hollywood mansions. Then you've also got Cypress Point Retreat. And look, this isn't limited to these two streets, but Cypress Point Retreat, I sold one there recently. That one at 1.3, and that was an absolutely beautiful renovated property, completely, once again, overlooking the golf course. So
You've got options for everyone, really, don't you?
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
want to have
definitely.
that northern lifestyle,
Yeah.
you're not too fussed by the beach, then you've really got quite a range of family-sized home.
yeah, look, the beach, several of the homes do actually have ocean views as well. If you've got the double stories, you do get the ocean views as well. But obviously it is a golf course suburb. But as I say, yeah, definitely get the ocean views. And the beach is only 5 minutes away as well.
Subdivision opportunities. I would have thought this would be a fairly small conversation to have. When the City of Joondalup came through with their rezoning, would be 3.5 years ago now, Connolly really wasn't on the top of the list when it came to gentrifying the suburb because it didn't really need it. It's quite a nice suburb the way it is.
Yeah.
However, are there a few opportunities around?
Yeah, look, there are a few blocks that are over 1,000 square metres with obviously the potential there for subdivision.
The houses would still be quite valuable though, wouldn't they? You'd be paying for quite a bit of house.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got two, should I say, that the owners have actually subdivided. One of them I sold for around about the mid 600s, and I'm actually currently selling the other one at the moment, and that's also at the mid 600s. So
Are they knocking the backyard off, or are they knocking the whole place down and selling a side-by-side lots?
generally they're knocking the whole place down. Depends on how the property is actually situated.
Okay. How much would a 500 square metre block be selling for then? Any idea?
Yeah, look, golf course you'd be selling at around about 1,000 square metre. Non-golf course you'd be selling around about 550 per square metre.
Big difference.
Oh.
You don't want to get that wrong.
No. No. So as I say, absolute golf course 1,000 square metre, and non-golf course 550.
Okay. Do you see many people coming in and doing a corner lot subdivision, knocking off the house on a corner? I mean, that would be more prevalent than the availability of 900 or 1,000 square metre blocks in a suburb.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any of those, and I haven't noticed that any of those have happened in Connolly.
For me, not surprising, and I think that's simply because these houses don't need knocking down yet. That you're paying, if a developer's going to come in, they're paying quite a lot for the house.
Yep.
And therefore the numbers just wouldn't stack up to knock it down and then put two new ones there. It seems to not really be necessary in the suburb right now.
Correct.
We mentioned the median house price. It was, what was it, $650?
Yeah, around about 650.
Julie, if you had $650 in your pocket, what would you buy in Connolly?
You'd buy a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Generally, it'd have a pool. Might need a little bit of renovations on the bathrooms. Generally, the kitchen will be nice and renovated. Sometimes you would want to change the flooring, but that happens with pretty much every home you buy now.
Well,
But
these are all 80s homes, aren't they?
Yep, they're all 80s homes, yeah.
Yep.
So around about the 650, you buy a 4x2 with a swimming pool.
Where would you be trying to buy it? Any precinct within Connolly where you reckon you could nab it in that price, and that would be where you'd be going?
Prairie Dunes side, Dorado Beach Crescent, that sort of pocket of Connolly, that's an absolutely beautiful pocket, but The whole of Connolly is absolutely beautiful. But
Okay. Other than the golf course estate,
Yeah.
there really isn't a big difference in terms of quality
Correct.
and demographic.
Correct.
Bonus question. It's Christmas time.
It is.
It's the 23rd of December. Connolly is home of the Christmas lights in the northern suburbs.
it
Can you tell us a little bit,
is.
a bit
Oh
of a push
my
for everyone to get
goodness.
out there in the next
Look,
few days?
It's absolutely beautiful. Once again, I'm throwing in Prairie Dunes there because that is the famous street in Connolly that does the Christmas lights. Now, they also raise an awful lot of money for the guide dogs of Australia. I can't even remember how much it is now, but they've actually raised so much money. And the people that actually do this, the people that started this, they're actually in their 70s now, and they're still going strong, and they're still doing all this fundraising. It's an absolute pleasure just to go down that street all around Christmas time and just look at the lights, and it's just amazing. It's
Good.
just absolutely beautiful.
So Prairie Dunes, any other streets? Or is that the main street?
That is the main
Get out
Christmas
of your
light
car.
streets.
Get in your car.
Get
Get
in
up
your
there.
car. Get out your
Get
car.
out of your car and go for a walk and donate to the Guide Dogs Australia.
Yep, absolutely.
Julie Cross from Platinum. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for your time talking about one of the North's most premium family suburbs.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Trent, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Perth Property Show. If you've only just joined the conversation, you can catch up by heading over to our website, perthpropertyshow.com.au, subscribing to the podcast, or joining our Facebook page. Don't forget to tune in next Monday at 7 a.m. for more expert insights, local analysis, and suburb spotlights. Happy hunting!